Hey, it's Mike from 424recording.com, and in today's video we're going to do our first ever 4-track album review of Elliott Smith's debut album, Roman Candle. So Roman Candle came out in 1994, I believe, on Cavity Search. I think it was later picked up on Kill Rock Stars. Part of the lore of the album was that it was recorded around the same time as Elliott's other band, Heat Miser, was recording their breakout album, I guess you could say, Mike City Sons. I think it was just recorded for Elliott's own enjoyment. He just had some other stuff that didn't fit onto the Heat Miser album and decided to record this for his own enjoyment. But of course, as usually happens with this sort of thing, somebody got the tape, his girlfriend or manager at the time, and gave it to somebody else over at Cavity Search. I think I read that he was trying to get like a 7-inch out of it, and they just said, hey, we want to release this whole thing. As far as I know, this was recorded on a 4-track in a basement. I couldn't find out exactly which 4-track was used. I believe there were a couple things online that said it was probably a Porta Studio, or that mentioned it was a Porta Studio, but it doesn't really say which one or which type. So if anybody knows exactly which one it is or has a source as to which one it is, link that below for us. I'd be curious to know. Just imagining Elliott Smith in a basement somewhere cranking out the tunes into a 4-track. I don't know, there's something really romantic about that. It seems like a fun time. And it just feels like you never know what could happen in that situation. Because clearly it sounds like this album really launched Elliott Smith's solo career. I think this album showcases the magic and the intimate type of sound you can get with a 4-track, and also that a decent sounding recording can be made with a 4-track. That also just goes to show if you write great songs, it's going to sound great no matter what you record it on. Obviously the 4-track adds something to the recording. Perhaps it wouldn't quite sound the same if it had been recorded very cleanly in a real studio. But basically I think it just goes to show if you want to be better or record higher quality stuff, forget going to a better studio, but just focus on getting better as a songwriter. I think that's something often overlooked in today's recording realm and the recording world. Is there's such a push to get better and better equipment, and that's what's going to make your recording sound better, but a lot of people don't just tell you that if you become a better musician, your recordings will sound better. I think any engineer, if they were speaking to you truthfully, would say the difference between a great recording and an okay recording or a not so okay recording is the artist. Great artists are what make great engineers in my mind. I think on this album, No Name number 3 is probably my favorite track. There's lots of double-tracked vocals and guitars throughout this album, and it has kind of a folky vibe to it. Almost feels like you could be in the room with Elliott Smith as he's performing these songs. Compared with Elliott Smith's later work, I find this album to be a bit more hopeful, although there are still some darker songs on it. The compositions are a bit more lively. They're more major sounding, so they sound a bit happier than some of the later tracks on some of the later albums. I don't know, maybe it has more of a traditional sound, and I guess that would make sense if Elliott was coming from more of a folk background for this album. I think the song Last Call is a great introduction to what will later become more prevalent themes as well as prevalent sound for later Elliott Smith records. I find this album to be extremely stylized as well. It's like almost instantly recognizable as Elliott Smith. You know, that sound, the vibe, and maybe that's part of the 4-track, but a lot of that's obviously Elliott Smith. And I think that this is something that's really important to develop as an artist, and I don't know how intentionally you can try to do it. Maybe it just comes with practice, maybe it just comes with not thinking about it too much, but it seems like to be one of the hardest things to do is come up with your own identity as a musician or as an artist. That's really what sets you apart and becomes your calling card. It has a sound all to itself, and you know, so many other people or artists just copy other people, or you can kind of hear more where stuff is coming from. I think that's important for an artist to develop, is that unique fingerprint. And I think it's very hard to develop, maybe just over time and writing songs and recording songs. It's something that develops. You have such a strong reaction immediately when you put this album on, and you just know instantly, if you've ever heard anything by Elliott Smith, that this is an Elliott Smith record. And lastly, I feel like I need to be more in a down mood or a specific like melancholy mood to listen to Elliott Smith. This record feels alright on a winter night. Thanks, Elliott. This is Mike from 424recording.com. Hope you enjoyed our first ever 4-track album review. Give me some comments below about what you thought. Godspeed, my friend. Check out Roman Candle on any of your favorite streaming services, or if you got the CD handy, pop it in one night. Let me know what you think. Peace.